Flint Beecher dominating Grand Rapids North Point Christian in the Class C boys finals. We're at the break. 30 years ago, Roy Marble led Flint Beecher to the Class B boys state title. Roy, one of the many great players to come through Flint, a town known as much for its toughness as its basketball pedigree. But these days, Roy is staring down an opponent that's tougher than any he ever faced on the court. Justin White has his story.
Roy Marble is back home, in the place he knows best, with those he loves the most. But for the former Flint Beecher basketball star, the homecoming is bittersweet.
Everybody's going to die from something. Now that I've been diagnosed, I'm trying to just prolong my life and do all I can to stay alive.
At 47 years old, Roy Marble is fighting stage 4 cancer. It began last August with discomfort in one of his eyes. A few weeks later, a CAT scan revealed 3 tumors in his head. The prognosis didn't look good. But for a man who never backed down on the court, Roy wasn't about to start now.
I was very scared, still scared to this day. Wanted to break down and cry at first, but my mojo kicked in, and I immediately said, well, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to fight it. And I started thinking about my kids. And when they come to mind, then there's no way I'm going to just back down to a disease called cancer.
At the time of his diagnosis, Roy was living near his beloved University of Iowa, where he made his name as one of the greatest Hawkeyes of all time. But it didn't take long to realize that he needed to move back home, where he could get the support he needed.
It's just something that you just kind of kick in and just start doing what you do as a family, you know, for your loved ones. It's at one point it was like, wow, and then at one point it's reality. Let's see what we can do to help.
Roy was ready to come back to Michigan, but there was one person he wasn't prepared to leave behind. His youngest son, Carlo, was about to start his junior year of high school. After learning of his dad's diagnosis, Carlo's mind was already made up.
I'm his last child, and he wants to see his kids do good. And it wasn't like a long, thought-out process. It just happened spontaneous. And I said I wanted to live with my dad, and my parents allowed me to make choices. And my choice was to come up here so my dad could see me play.
Carlo enrolled at Lansing Sexton High School not long before basketball practice started. No matter how many points he scored or rebounds he grabbed for the Big Reds this season, Carlo's most important stat was the assist to his dad.
It makes me feel good, knowing that makes him happy. It just brings a different feeling to when the ball goes up, you know that somebody like that's cheering for you.
We've had a lot of kids come through here that have been really good basketball players, and the first thing comes to my mind is, you ain't no Roy Marble. You know, you good, but I've seen great.
The mid-1980s were a golden age for Flint basketball, and Roy was the golden child. Legendary Beecher head coach Moses Lacey brought Roy up to the varsity as a freshman, and the rest was history.
When he came up, you know, they wanted him to high jump, being an athlete, and they wanted him to do the long jump. I told him, no way, he's going to play basketball. This is talent. I said he's going to be a good heck of a ball player.
All of our games were pretty much sold out. I mean, he was one of the #1 draws. You had Glenn Rice over there at Northwestern, but between the two gyms, you couldn't get in either one of them. And, you know, he was a showman. He came out, I mean, he copied pretty much every one of Jordan dunks. So if he got a breakaway, you know, if you were on the court, you would stop and just watch because you want to see what he's going to do.
His talent was undeniable, but it was more than that. Roy had a competitive fire that was lit the moment he stepped on the court, and nobody could put it out.
I seen Roy, you know, just tear people apart, his own teammates, and, you know, with having no mercy, you know, dunk on the guy falls, he don't help him up, and it translated into his game, into the real games.
What was the best game you ever had on this court?
My junior year, that was the day we got out of school for Christmas break on the 22nd, and I had 44 against Detroit, and we beat them, and they had beat us the year before.
Roy led Beecher to a state title as a senior and was named a McDonald's All-American. At Iowa, Roy helped the Hawkeyes to 4 straight NCAA tournaments and became the school's all-time leading scorer, a title he still holds to this day. His NBA career was all too brief, derailed by drug abuse. Today, Roy sees it as a teaching tool for each of his 5 children.
It's almost like everything that happened to me happened for a reason. And like now, you can't get my kids to even look at something like that, you know, as far as drug abuse or anything that would be detrimental to their career or their health. And so I say mission accomplished.
Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize a great Hawkeye and Iowa's all-time leading scorer, Roy Marble.
Roy travels back to Iowa every 3 weeks, not to watch the Hawkeyes, but for his treatments. Outside of that, he keeps things as normal as possible, and usually that means immersing himself in basketball. If he's not at one of Carlo's games, he's watching games on TV. Roy's oldest son, Devin, followed in his dad's footsteps to Iowa, and he's now a rookie for the Orlando Magic.
He's still able to put a smile on his face and enjoy life, and I think that's the hardest thing to do when you're going through something like this, just because you never know, you know. So just the fact that he's able to keep doing what he was doing even before he was sick, I think is a very positive thing for him, and it's going to continue to help him to fight this thing.
If Roy has anything to say about it, the fight is far from over. He has too much to do, more games to go to, more time sharing his passion for basketball with his kids. Cancer brought Roy Marble back to Michigan, but love brought him home.
This has been still a coming together of our families with me and, you know, having the cancer. Lord knows I don't want to be the one with the cancer and supposed to die, but after a while, again, I know who I am. I'm a competitor, and it's just no damn way I'm going to go every day thinking about the day that I'm going to die. It's like, okay, you just got to come get me.
Roy Marble continues to travel back to Iowa to get his chemotherapy treatments, and as you saw in the story, he was recently honored at halftime of the Hawkeyes' final home game. We'll be back as Roy's Bucks get to the second half of this Class C final game.